Hey guys, I'm here out at the gun club with my friend Patrick, and today we're going to be shooting some sporting clays. I've got my Browning Citori 725 Sporting, and he's got his Weatherby Orion. Now both these guns are really well known in the clay sports world. The Orion is usually known for its being an entry-level budget gun, whereas the Citori 725 Sporting is more of a mid-level gun. So we're out here today, we're going to shoot 50 clays, we're going to switch halfway through at 25 each, and then talk about some of the similarities and differences between these two guns. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We just got back from the gun club and just shot around sporting clays. And if you don't recognize this guy next to me, his name is Patrick.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's good to be on this side of the camera.
Yeah, if you don't know, Patrick actually is the cameraman. He does all the recording, the editing, the publishing of the videos. Everything you see Average Joe's Armory is done by this guy. So this is pretty much the team right here.
Yeah, good team.
Yeah. So we decided to do something a little bit different today. We went out and shot some sporting clays, and we actually brought two over-unders, our over-unders, and said to ourselves, well, hey, let's shoot them. Let's switch halfway through and kind of talk about what our opinions are of them, some of the similarities, differences, and then ask ourselves which is the better gun and why. Yeah, so with that said, what were you shooting today, Patrick?
So today I was shooting a Weatherby Orion with 30-inch ported barrels with a vent rib, and I had a modified choke in the top and a improved cylinder in the bottom. It's got an adjustable comb for rise and cast. It's got a 14.5-inch length of pole, and it weighs about 7.5 pounds. And I believe the retail value is about $1,100.
Yeah. And what kind of ammo were you shooting today on?
I was shooting 8-shot target loads, Federal.
Okay, nice. Yeah, and I've got, this is a 2012 Citori, or Browning Citori 725 Sporting. It's also in 12 gauge. It's got the 30-inch ported barrels, vent rib with a mid bead and end bead, and then I use a modified choke in the upper and an improved cylinder choke in the lower, just like Patrick. Mine's also got the adjustable comb for rise and cast, and then mine comes in at around 8 pounds 1 ounce. Length of pull is right at 14 3/4 inches, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So actually, both these guns are configured really similarly, with both 30-inch ported barrels, similar extended chokes, adjustable combs, so a lot of similarities here.
I'd say the only notable differences are this one has a mid bead and the Orion does not, and then the Orion is about a third the cost of a Citori. So
yeah, for sure. And then also you got that half-pound difference in weight on these two, but otherwise very similar, very comparable. So with that being said, how did you shoot today?
So today I shot a 45 out of 50, which is a little bit over my average. I'm shooting I think like a 42, 43 average.
Yeah, I mean, I've been shooting with you for a few years now. I'd say the lowest I've ever seen you shoot is a 42, 43, so I think you're probably averaging 44, maybe even 45.
So basically my average, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. How did you do with both of them? In fact, I got the scores right here, so.
I missed 3 with the Orion, and then I only missed 2 with the Citori. So basically the same for each gun.
Yeah, I mean, really not much of a difference there. And this is your first time really shooting the Citori, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't do as well as Patrick. Today I shot a 38 out of 50, and as you guys know who watch the channel, I average about a 42, so today was definitely not my best round. I'm going to blame a little bit on the sun. Also going to blame a little bit on I just don't shoot a lot of over-unders. Usually you guys see me out there with an 870 or a semi-auto like a Beretta A400 Sporting or one of my other Berettas or Remingtons. Not so much with the over-unders, but anyways, whatever. 38 out of 50. What I will say though is that I actually shot both these guns very similar. In fact, exact similar. I missed 6 with the Citori and I missed 6 with the Orion. So really, I mean...
yeah, we both were very consistent with each gun.
Yeah, which says a lot considering that price difference, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's really how we shot with them. Let's talk about what our opinions and impressions were. So, what are some things that you noticed that might have been different with these two guns?
So when we made the switch after about 25 clays, I did notice that it felt like the Citori was closer to me, even though now we know the length of pull on the Citori is longer than the Weatherby. But what we found out is that the length from the trigger to the breech is different between the two guns. So on the Citori, it's about 2.5 inches, and then on the Weatherby, it's about 3 inches. So the breech and receiver is actually a bit closer to your face on the Citori.
Yeah, that's actually something that I noticed too right out of the gate. So when I went from the Citori to the Orion, same thing. I'm like, oh, the Orion's got a longer length of pull, and it wasn't until after we were done shooting and we came back here to measure everything out that we noticed that there was a difference there. So definitely that was one of the biggest noticeable things for me.
For sure.
Another thing I noticed is the weight. The Orion does have that ½ pound less than the Citori. So in terms of when you're swinging, you are going to have to modify your shooting a little bit for that. However, one thing that I want to mention that I was surprised about is that even though there's a ½ pound difference, in my opinion, the recoil was the same. I didn't notice a difference.
Yeah, I really didn't notice a difference either. Especially going from one right to the other, like the felt recoil was virtually the same.
Yeah, so that's definitely a plus on the Orion, considering it is lighter weight, yet similar recoil. Another thing that I noticed is that both have really nice ribs on there. So if you guys remember the superposed Broadway rib, it's a much wider rib, gives you a much better sight picture. Both these have a rib measuring right around 3/8 of an inch, which is, I'd say, a pretty wide rib. Again, the only difference is really the Citori's got that mid bead, which some people like it, some people don't. I don't really have a preference. What do you think?
I do prefer the mid bead myself, but clearly didn't seem to make much of a difference as far as shooting goes. So
yeah. Another thing I noticed was the triggers. And keep in mind, I'm used to the Citori trigger when I'm shooting an over-under, because that's really the only over-under that I really shoot. When I grabbed the Orion today, I noticed that the trigger was a lot thinner, and I could actually get better finger placement on the Orion over the Citori, which again, I was a little surprised about. However, I will say the Citori does come with 3 different triggers, and you bet I'm going to be checking out the different triggers that this came with to see if there's a better one for me, and I will replace that trigger. Yeah. Now, in terms of the actual weight or pull, I bring my scale today, so I can't really tell you what the difference is. But from memory, this Citori has about a 4.5 pound trigger weight, and I'd say the Orion is probably right there, 4.5, 5 pounds maybe?
It's probably about the same, maybe a pinch heavier.
Okay.
But
yeah, so again, really the biggest difference I'd say is the price point on these, because there's so many similarities of these two guns. So the only other thing that I guess I'll mention too is the build quality. I will say the Browning Citori, as I would expect, does have a better feel, better build quality to it. So my opinion would be is that you're just going to get a lot more life and a lot more rounds out of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the Browning Citori is definitely known for its quality. But the Weatherby has also been very good. I've got probably 1,000 rounds through it and really haven't had any issues with it. Everything functions well still. So
yeah, well, and that's the thing is, you'd expect that the gun that costs 3 times as much, that you would hope that you can get a lot more life out of it.
At least 3 times the amount of life, right?
That's the truth. That's the truth. So I know we covered a lot. We talked about the guns that we have here today, talked about our scores and how we shot, some of the similarities and differences. To wrap it up, I guess, if we're talking about value and best bang for your buck, which gun would you choose and why?
Well, the Browning Citori is definitely a quality gun with a quality name, and it should stand the test of time. So with that, though, the Weatherby Orion has all the same features and options on it, and it's a third of the price. So for me, I would rather take the additional money that I would spend on this Citori and put it towards shells and clays.
Absolutely.
Just get more time behind the gun.
Absolutely, and like anything, it's not always, it's not the gun. It's usually the shooter, and practice makes perfect. So the more money you have to spend on shells and clays and practice and experience is going to go much further in the long run.
Oh, for sure.
So that's a really great point. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I mean, if we're talking value, the Weatherby Orion is definitely the better value and the better bang for your buck. You are getting all those features. I mean, I do want to say all, but I'm guessing somebody's going to say, well, it doesn't have this. And you're probably right, because you probably know more about it than I do. But I'm going to say that you have majority of the features that you're going to get with the Citori in that Orion for a third of the cost, which is huge. And again, we're talking about retail value. You can get these cheaper, you know, at different stores, online markets, things like that. And if you buy them pre-owned, you can get them even cheaper than that. So we're just going off of like MSRP retail on them.
Yep.
So yeah, I would definitely say, obviously the Browning Citori has a great name. I've always wanted one. That's why I have this one. Obviously, I don't shoot it that great, but it is cool to have, and it is fun to shoot. But yeah, money-wise and value and budget-wise, I'd go Orion all day long too.
Yeah, definitely the best bang for the buck, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But what do you guys think? You know, do you guys have these guns at home? What are your thoughts? What do you think about this video that we did here today? We definitely were trying something a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get both of us here in front of the camera for you guys. But, you know, what other guns out there, specifically shotguns, would you want us to shoot and compare like this? Do you like this kind of video where we are just kind of just hanging out and talking about some of the similarities, differences, our thoughts, and our overall opinions? Put that in the comments. You know, we definitely both read the comments.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about it. We want to make this channel fun, but also entertaining and informative for you guys. So you tell us what you want. If you want more of this content, make sure to put that in the comments. As always, we appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notifications of all of our future content. And, you know, with that being said, this is Scott
And Patrick.
with The Average Joe's Armory, the channel for The Average Joe, and we'll see you in the next one.